The final flag at Reno is a tragic one. We're going to talk about it and more aviation news on this episode of Taking Off. Hi, I'm Dan Milliken, and before we get to the news this weekend from Reno and the tragic death of the two pilots, all right, let's get to the news. Before covering the tragedy at Reno, first off, has anyone seen a misplaced F-35 stealth fighter? Over South Carolina, a stealth fighter was apparently on autopilot when the pilot ejected due to what the press release calls a mishap. The pilot was recovered and taken to a local medical center and was listed in stable condition. This aircraft belongs to the 2nd Marine Aircraft Wing in one of the training squadrons. A spokesman at the base says that the airplane was left in autopilot after the pilot ejected and possibly could have flown for some time. A major search is underway, and they've asked the public to notify local officials if they've seen the airplane. Initially, the search took place around the Lake Moultrie and Lake Marion based on the jet's location where the pilot ejected. Meanwhile, the internet is, of course, having a field day with this one. Social media, oh my goodness. By the way, you meme makers, it was a Marine jet, not the Air Force. Okay, turning to the sad news out of Nevada. The Reno air races have been around for 59 years, and they were started after the golden age of aviation had faded and became a fan favorite for decades. Last year, the airport board where the races were held decided to sunset the races, setting up this September to be the last time the races would be held in Reno. And the Air Racing Association billed it as the final flag at Reno. Now, a side note before we get into the tragic crash of the two T6 Texans, I talked to the COO of the Reno Air Racing Association about what's next, and you can catch that up here. But the short version is that the races will continue, and they've narrowed the new location to a short list of 6, all located in the western half of the U.S. I have no doubt the races will continue even with this very sad incident. Expect the Air Racing Association to make some announcements soon. Oh, and at the same time, someone's been promoting air racing in Las Vegas, but this is not the same organization. Someone different, not associated with the team putting on the Reno air races. Okay, on Sunday, the final day, the final flag, it was the gold medal races. And for those that don't understand, the air races are divided into different classes like Formula One, Unlimited, Sport Class, Jets, and the T6 class. The T6 Texan has its own class primarily because it's a big, powerful piston engine, much like the Warbirds, but slower than the Warbirds, so it couldn't compete with the P-51 Mustangs and such. And with the plentiful nature of the T6s, it made sense years ago to have their own class for the races, and that's where we were yesterday. The T6 gold medal race, the final. For the air races, the airplanes race around a somewhat oval course defined by pylons. Everyone races in the same direction after the pace plane calls the race on. There's a certain number of laps until the checkered flag is waved, and the T6s on Sunday completed the race with the checkered flag being waved just after 2 p.m. The airplanes crossed the finish line, and then they climbed to pattern altitude and turned the opposite way from the course to enter a downwind base and final to landing clear for the next class of races. It was on the base leg that 2 of the race competitors collided midair, and both tragically fell to the ground, killing each pilot. There was no one underneath, so no one else was hurt. Reno Air Races met with the class presidents, and they decided to call off the rest of the gold medal races that were scheduled for the rest of the afternoon. The air racing community lost 2 of their family, and in interviewing racers on Friday and Saturday in Reno, that was mentioned a lot. That racing is a family, and yes, they compete hard and compete to win, but they also drop everything to help a fellow competitor. The 2 pilots have been confirmed by the Reno Air Racing Association as Nick Macy, racing 6 Cat, and Chris Rushing in Barron's Revenge. The chairman of the Reno Air Racing Association is also the class president of the T6s, Fred Telling, and he was heartbroken, saying, "These 2 pilots weren't just an integral part of the National Championship Air Race family, they're part of my family. My heart goes out to their families and to all of the spectators and fans who have so enthusiastically supported us this week." Will this tragedy be the actual final flag on the air races? I don't think so. It's a huge tragedy, but the races will go at one of the 6 locations on the short list. And that's the quick news this weekend. As always, if you can support our sponsors, it helps support us. Sponsors like Flying Eyes, flyingeyesoptics.com. We're using our discount code, taking off all caps, one word, will get you 10% off. Also, mpsprotects.com, Marshall Protective Services, Z-Vision, the brightest landing and taxi lights out there. ClemensInsurance.net. Call Jerry. He will find a way to save you money, I bet. I really appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to check out the interview with the COO of the Reno Air Racing Association. Remember, superior judgment trumps superior skills. We'll see you next time.